The Hypnotic Hiker presents nature, the drug of choice. Hypnotic trips, if you will, virtual hiking experiences, mind trips that offer a shift in perspective. Basically, these are a series of guided journeys that take you back to your true self. In these episodes, you'll discover the true power of your unconscious mind and how to change old, outdated programs from birth that have kept you stuck. You'll enjoy some virtual hikes, some hypnosis, divine interventions. You'll learn walking meditations. By the way, I've been a clinical hypnotherapist since 2002. We'll explore the importance of staying connected or reconnecting to your wild child, to be in touch with our primitive minds, our instincts. We'll talk about how the modern world has tried to change us into cogs of a machine. I'll dive into mass hypnosis and the concept of transhumanism. We'll even explore regenerative ranching and agriculture. The most important discovery you'll have is how to lose your shadow self and how to love yourself again, standing on your own 2 feet and thinking from your heart mind and speaking with your true voice. I'm Valerie, the Hypnotic Hiker. So are you ready for a new relationship with nature and yourself? Come along with me. Come along with me now to Mount Scott in the Wichita Mountains. This is episode 13 of our hypnotic trips together, and today we're going to learn how to connect to spirit in nature. This hypnotic trip takes place in the Wichita Mountains, specifically Mount Scott, which is in the wildlife refuge area of the state of Oklahoma. Our first day in the area, we hiked alone in the snow. If you missed that one, go back to episode 11. But this day was bright and warmer, and as the temps rose, the snow and ice began to melt. And the melting ice and snow was trickling down as we walked up the mountain. It was going down as we were going up. It was not quite as profound as some of those babbling brooks running down mountains in New Mexico or Colorado, but the sound was still mesmerizing. It was New Year's Day, 2022, and because it was clear and bright and warmer that day, there were more people out. It was a holiday weekend, and it was good to see folks in nature getting exercise in spite of the low temperature. It was warmer, but it was still in the high 30s. There's not a foot trail up Mount Scott, but you can walk up or bike up or drive up the paved road. There were no cars that day because of the icy patches, so we walked up on asphalt. It really felt like cheating, but it was still challenging due to a mighty wind and patches of ice, so not so much a walk in the park. Plus the elevation is at 2,464 feet. I noticed that many of the trees had lost their branches due to the weight of the ice, which is a heads up reminder while you're hiking. Those branches do come down, and if they do, it could cause some damage. So heads up, especially on a windy day. So near the peak, I sat down on a very large flat rock to take in the expansive view. The air was brisk and it felt energizing. And there was a sense that the melting snow was nourishing the soil. And the sound of that melting snow was restorative to me. Maybe because it was a new day and a new year, there was this positive energy in the air, resilient yet relaxing. Nature looked so pure and clean and new. And while gazing out from this rock ledge, this beatitude found its way into my consciousness. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. This was beginning to become a trend for me, going hiking and getting beatitude downloads. Emmett Fox, the author of The Sermon on the Mount, offers this more modern-day interpretation of the biblical words from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. Fox says that the word see in that beatitude, see God, is really about a spiritual perception, since seeing God in human form would be limiting and therefore not God at all. Spiritual perception is the capacity to apprehend the true nature of being. We live in God's world. Heaven is all around us. But if you don't see it, if you lack spiritual perception, then you don't see it. According to Fox, heaven is a religious name for the presence of God. Pure, in Blessed are the pure in heart. Pure is recognizing God alone as the real cause, the only real power in existence. And the word heart, pure in heart. Heart is humankind's mentality, or in modern psychology, the subconscious mind. Note, it is important that we not only accept the truth with our conscious mind, but we must also believe it on an unconscious or subconscious level in our hearts. Many of you will know this quote from the Bible, "As a man thinketh in his heart, he so is." Again, heart is the subconscious storehouse of our values, beliefs, morals, and the like. On that rock at the peak near Mount Scott, on the rock near the peak of Mount Scott, my subconscious was activated, and I saw the purity of God's world and its perfection around me. I felt nourished, secure, happy. I believe I was closer to God, to heaven. Personally, I don't want to wait to experience heaven when I die, because what if religion got that wrong? What if it is what you make of this life, a heaven or a hell? Up on Mount Scott, I was in heaven. I felt the presence and the perfection of God. What do I mean by perfection? Seeing the purity of God's work and its perfection? I may not even know exactly. The environment I was in felt perfect. However, another's perception may have derived that it was unperfect. Branches were broken, the wind was strong, some spots on the road were icy. So the word perfection is a little tricky descriptor, and it can even create some anxiety, the thought of having to achieve perfection. What does it mean to you? I've opened up the comment section on the podcast show page so that you can answer these questions if you like, or take them out of nature with you. Here are the questions. What is perfection in a spiritual sense? What is perfection in the sense of the natural world? And what is perfection to the ego mind? So if you don't know, then nature can guide you. Bring those questions out on a walk with you and share the answers with me. Also, while you're browsing the show notes, please rate the podcast. It would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, I think we stay in our conscious minds, our heads too much, and not enough in our unconscious mind, the heart mind. So if you want to make the journey from your head to your heart, how do you do that? Well, if you listen to episode 11 about the first day in the Wichitas, then you might recall that I was really in my head that day and not in my heart. However, at Mount Scott, that was more like a heart-mind experience. The number one way to do this is to go hiking or go for a walk. Hiking helps you get out of your head and into your heart. So does hypnosis. All too often, we find ourselves locked in this endless set of negative emotions that create a set of habits and behaviors and that don't really represent what we truly want or who we truly are. We get kind of caught up. Candace Pert was a 1970s scientist and discoverer of the opiate receptor. She wrote a revolutionary book called The Molecules of Emotion, and in it, my favorite quote, "Emotions are constantly regulating what we experience as reality." So if you want to change those emotions and change your reality, it starts with a question. Ask yourself, what changes if you could free yourself from negative thoughts? What changes if you could free yourself from sadness? What changes if you could free yourself from guilt or shame? What changes if you could free yourself from confusion, And what changes if you could free yourself from regrets? And what changes if you could free yourself from anger? In some cases, our feelings about events and people from our past may cause us to put up emotional walls. These walls lock in doubts and fears and prevent us from opening our lives to new positive events. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you could enjoy vibrant health and happiness, to feel secure, content, fulfilled, purposeful? If you're experiencing emotional pain, some of those emotions I mentioned earlier, sadness, guilt, shame, confusion, regrets, that this is not the final condition, it's a starting point. It is your head telling you that things need to change, and your heart is really longing to help you. Hypnotic hiking helps you discover and understand your current emotional state so you can transform it. You can learn to let go of the past and gain freedom to make decisions for your future. And with the help of a hypnotist, you can view a past memory and the emotion attached to it and form a new perspective so that that emotion can be transformed. So if you're trying to figure out whether you're in your head or in your heart, you can look at a particular situation that you're experiencing and ask yourself, what am I thinking? Or what am I feeling? When something is kind of wrong for you, like if it's not the right thought or feeling, you'll feel some kind of a constriction or a tightness in your body. But if it's something that's right for you, and I really hate using wrong and right, good or bad, but when it's something that's right for you, you'll feel excitement, you'll feel freedom, you'll feel peace. So to strengthen your connection, try the following. Just stop yourself in the middle of the day and just ask yourself, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? And remember that a thought plus a feeling equals a response. So if you want to change the response, you go back and change that thought or that feeling. Sometimes people stay in their head. Sometimes there are certain types of personalities, suggestibility types that really don't feel. And that's okay. But if you want to expand that, if you want to feel a little bit more and then a little bit more and a little bit more, taking a walk, being in nature helps you to feel. And you can start with just the physical sensations, feeling warm or cold, feeling heavy or light, just noticing physical feelings, how the breeze feels on your face. You could start just experimenting and noticing those kinds of feelings, and then maybe those feelings will translate into feelings of joy or peace for you. So by descending into your subconscious mind, that is how you can really ascend new heights. Join me in a future episode. I have many more planned for this year, and if this is your first one, please go back and listen to the others. It's kind of a series, so you learn something each time, but it is a building effect. This is Valerie Grimes. Get out there. Nature heals. Podcast is sponsored in part by Simply Organic Soap, maker of plant-based organic soaps, lotion bars, salts, and other bath products infused with essential oils to care for your skin and keep you connected with nature. Take a bath on the wild side with the Simply Hypnotic soap, inspired by me, the Hypnotic Hiker. You can order this soap and all their other products online at simplyorganicsoap.com.